All right, let's talk about the front squat. So typically I would use the rack facing the other way, but just for video purposes, I wanted to give you guys that front angle. So let's talk about the front squat, how it relates to the squat, the push-up, and the jump. As we develop our overall technique and link all of these movements together. So front squat. The most obvious piece is it's a squat. Draw your lower abs in, Kegel, squeeze your butt cheeks, twist your feet on the floor, rib cage down, stand tall, shoulders back, create that rotation to hold hip and shoulder in place. So we're gonna brace that squat position. Feet are gonna be in our squat stance. And then what our front rack position looks like is our shoulders gonna be back, twisting in. This looks like a push-up. And then if I just bend at the elbow, this is what that front rack position is gonna look like. Of course, my hand is gonna be holding onto a bar, so as I twist, my hand's not gonna be able to move, but I wanna get that tightness in my upper back. So just like the back squat, if I'm relaxed in that upper back, my upper back tends to round. In the front squat, if I'm relaxed with those shoulders, I tend to come forward, and then when I try and drive and put force, I don't have the leverage I need to maintain really good, strong positions. So I'm gonna set up for a front squat very similarly to how I set up for a back squat. So I'm gonna stand back from it. I'm gonna get my hands on the bar, hands just outside shoulders. We see a lot of people use a really narrow grip. Their hands get in the way of their shoulder and the bar, and the elbows flare out into that nasty shoulder position. So hands just outside shoulders. What I like to do is I go through my routine, I get nice and tight, shoulders back, I'm gonna twist in, I'm gonna try and stay nice and tight as I walk in here. I'm gonna put the bar directly on top of my collarbone against my neck, and then I'm just gonna start driving my elbows up, and for me, I relax my hands and my pinkies are gonna come off. From there, I stand up. Of course, I'd be using the rack the opposite way, so I would waddle my way back, staying tight, and then I would do my squats. So the common things that we see, especially with new people, common things new people struggle with is pain in the wrist. So where this comes from, it's a combination of things. Typically what causes the pain in the wrist is a lack of shoulder mobility. That can be caused from tight triceps, tight lats, tight biceps, tight upper back, tight neck. So there's a lot of things that can contribute here into making this position tough. So it's something we're going to develop over time with our mobility techniques. But a lot of times it's also an awareness thing. So as I squat, I'm trying to create a shelf for the bar. What that shelf looks like is my triceps are parallel with the ground, and then the bar sits on top of my collarbone and on top of my shoulders. It sounds like it's a painful position, but really once you get used to it, it's a pretty comfortable position. The key is new people don't really like to put the bar this far back up against their neck, but you can see my face might change colors a little bit, but if I take my hand and just push back here, I can push pretty hard and I can still breathe just fine. So really it's just getting used to getting the bar back here, and it gives us the best leverage possible. So number one is don't be scared about that bar pressing up against your throat a little bit. It's perfectly fine. The other thing that tends to happen is we get set, those triceps stay parallel to the ground, then as we squat, our torso naturally comes forward. As that torso comes forward, that's gonna drop my elbows down. When my elbows drop, the bar rolls into my hands and it really puts a lot of pressure on that wrist. So really what I need to be doing is as I squat, I need to be driving my elbows up, high, and so if I leave them there on the way up, it actually looks like this. So the front rack position starts here, but as you squat, you're gonna have to keep it there. So as I squat, I actually drive them up. So this is where that shoulder mobility really comes into play. The other thing is new people tend to just death grip the bar. So if I've got the bar completely in my hands, this is as high as I can drive up my elbows. But if I relax my hands, let the bar roll into my fingertips, for me, my pinkies come off of the bar. I used to front squat with just 2 fingers on the bar, but that creates a lot of space for my elbows to go up and that bar to sit completely on me. I should be able to let go, palms up in the air, and just hold my arms out like this, because this is the position we're using. So with wrist pain, a lot of times it's a positional thing, and sometimes we need to solve that through mobility. Most of the time we need to solve it through a combination of mobility and just technique in that front rack. But once we get really used to that front rack position, we can get a lot of leverage on the bar. We don't have to hold it in our arms, forcing all of this jiggly stuff to hold on. It can sit just completely on us, and then we can really focus on using our legs to drive the bar up. The front squat's a little different than the back squat because we're going to use core a little bit more. So we like to think of our center of gravity as over the back of our neck. So when we have that bar forward of that center of gravity, we're going to have to really fight to stay under that bar. It's going to tax our core a lot more. So we're going to have a much more upright squat position. And so there's a lot of benefits from that, especially when used in conjunction with the back squat. The back squat will typically use more butt and hamstrings, where the front squat is going to use or bias a little bit more of the quads. All of them are going to use all of those things. But it's just different training tools we have to attack different parts of the body. So one last time, I like to set up, get nice and tight, shoulders back, twist in. I walk in, put the bar above my collarbone, drive up, relax my hands. I'm tight the whole time. And then walk back in. So at any part of the front squat, you can pause in the middle of the rep and you can check your position. So are we doing everything we do in the squat? Or are we doing everything we do in the push-up? The front squat's just a combination of the squat and the push-up. So even if I'm at the bottom position here, I should be drawing my lower abs in, trying to squeeze my butt cheeks, kegeling. My feet are flat, even on the floor, and I'm creating torque through my hip, rotating out. My rib cage is down, I'm tall, shoulders are back, and I'm creating that rotation. Enjoy.